Rebekah Vardy could be entitled to a substantial damages award for the harm caused to her reputation by Coleen Rooney's Agatha Christie tweet. The statement was made by Rebekah's barrister Hugh Tomlinson QC at the end of the libel trial at London's High Court today. He claimed serious harm had been caused to Rebekah's reputation and the award of damages ought to reflect that, which were substantial. Coleen accused Rebekah, who is married to Leicester City player Jamie, of leaking information from her private Instagram story in October 2019. Rebekah is suing Coleen for libel in a trial that began last Tuesday. In closing submissions, Mr. Tomlinson set out to Mrs. Justice Stein, who was presiding over the trial, why Rebekah should win the case. He told the judge Coleen did not need to make a post about Rebekah Vardy as it was not in the public interest. Mr. Tomlinson said, "This is really a falling out between two individuals over what's essentially a private matter. We say the public interest is not actually engaged at all. If it was engaged, then it wasn't reasonable for Mrs. Rooney to put on a post in the way that she did. It wasn't reasonable for her to believe it was in the public interest for her to post in the way she did at the time she did. She must have foreseen it would have a big impact. This is a serious and extremely upsetting matter that's been a burden on her family over the past 2.5 years." The barrister said the idea Rebekah Vardy was a public figure that needed to have her hypocrisy corrected publicly was fantastical. Mr. Tomlinson told the court Rebekah brought the case as she wants to be vindicated, and still does not know how Coleen's information was leaked. But he said Mrs. Vardy accepts it is possible her former agent Caroline Watt was the source of the leaks. She doesn't want to be in the position of accusing her friend and former long-term agent of doing something wrong, he said. She sees, as everybody does, the indications that point that way. Her fundamental position is that she doesn't know what happened. He added, Mrs. Vardy has made mistakes. Perhaps the most serious of these may have been to trust Ms. Watt as her agent. Mr. Tomlinson also challenged the suggestion by Coleen's barrister David Sherborne that Mrs. Vardy and Ms. Watt were obsessed with Mrs. Rooney. He said out of around 1,200 pages of messages over 2 years, only around 10 pages related to conversations about Coleen. He said, there is very little about the Rooneys in these conversations. We don't have two women who are obsessed with Mrs. Rooney, we have two women who over a period of 2 years mention her on a few occasions. He also addressed WhatsApp conversations in which the pair mention leaking stories. Mr. Tomlinson said, she's prepared from time to time to discuss providing information to the newspapers about specific incidents and about specific people. What's actually happening is they are gossiping. The position is clear, really. From time to time, Mrs. Vardy and Ms. Watt use the language of leaking. Your ladyship has to decide what they meant by that. We say in some cases it is just loose language that isn't really about leaking at all. Mrs. Justice Stein has reserved her judgment and it will be handed down on a date to be fixed.